Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm just running into the usual problem of cameras. Spent some time trying to resolve it from the last time, and I thought I had it nailed. But Murphy's Law, I guess, always comes into play. Anyway, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Hope you are all well, and I'd just like to acknowledge Mark Hemmel Down for the great effort that he's been putting into his videos, and he's obviously really been thinking it through and planning it and trying to get maximise the coverage and production in the videos that he's been doing. So congratulations on that, Mark, and you're really deserving of the recognition and getting so many viewers. Hello, Tom Houston, how are you? And who else? I see Silent Witness is still on. Yeah, actually, Tom, I'm in the process of renaming the cinema. I'm trying to find the correct text for a local cinema in Glasgow, and I'm going to change that up, and I'll change up the film that's showing. Anyway, so today I've got a couple of things going here that have not been out on the track for some time, and that is my Hymek, which still seems to stutter at that one point. It's carrying a load of those mini tricks, I think they're called, the little plastic cars that came with the car-a-belle set. See, I've got that problem here. Let me put that off for the moment and go back onto this one while I try and resolve this issue. Yeah, there's I think this is it. There's on the iPhone, you can see that padlock. That's the one that does the damage. So I'll try and get back in here and see what's happening. And I think I nailed it, so we're going to have another camera in here. Hopefully. Yeah, I'm not really sure which one's which in there. Yeah, okay, so we'll just remove a couple for the moment here and get some action. The Hymek is still a little bit temperamental, and as is some of the Gresley coaches. I'll get back up here and I'll explain that in a minute. Some time ago, I did a video on couplings, and actually these Gresley coaches, and you know, they had the original plastic wheels on them, and they ended up being a bit of an issue. Some of them were out of round, others were chipped a little bit, and as they would run through points, they would derail, and that was always a problem. So what I did was, on those Gresleys, I replaced all the wheel sets, and that helped. It was a little bit expensive, but worthwhile doing, because you know, it got them running so much better, and I didn't have to worry about derailments, and that's always positive, especially when you're trying to do a live video, and when you don't want things popping off the track every now and again. Anyway, there's a couple of things I want to talk about, and hello Lee, we're going to drop by. What's happening in Anfield? So you may have seen excuse me, the video I did about my latest tree video. Well, I'll just lift this up for a second. This here was the material, the filter that I sourced and used for the trees. Now, as you can see, this is for a fish tank, and you get a couple of filters like that. It has a plastic frame inside which you remove, and then there's charcoal inside there, so you can save the charcoal and put it in as a load on a coal wagon. And then I wet and painted the filter and teased it out to make a different type of tree. And you can see it on that part 2 of the how to make cheap trees. Yeah, okay, thanks for that, Mark. Yeah, as I said, the problem with the iPhones is you have to make sure that you don't have that lock on. And that's what I was trying to do there. Anyway, I've got a couple of iPhones, and I was just excuse me, trying to experiment again with setting them up for running. But you know, the best laid plans of mice and men. Yeah, just I'll let you see a couple of things here. I'm working on trying to fill this area here, and you know, I'm looking at alternatives, you know, using pieces of foam to line it up with the main street here, and you may have noticed that I added the road in there. Well, that's actually wet and dry sandpaper basically. I bought a pack of them and cut them up to size, and it looks quite effective. So that's certainly been a good addition. I'm happy I did that. Now, let's talk for a minute about my car-a-belle wagons. Now, these are the original ones, as you can see, the grey ones, and they came in a set called car-a-belle, and I think you got 3 or 4 of these wagons with the cars, and they were pulled by a junkie. But in other occasions, you would have seen it in the Triang Hornby magazine of it being pulled by the Hymek. So I worked on the Hymek, cleaned it up a bit, gave it a bit of a service, and I brought it running again. It's a little bit temperamental and needs a little bit of care. So I'm quite happy with that. And I know I've spoken about this before, but we'll do it again. And just take these cars off so that they don't fall off. Now, John Chams 123 started me off on this. The first thing was, he said, replace the wheels. So I did that, and those are steel wheels. And then another thing he suggested was to, put a nut, washer and bolt in there into the bogie, and that would enhance the running and would stabilise the bogie in the sort of lateral direction, which it was prone to doing. And I went through that process and I got a number of them done, and they're so much more stable now and run quite well. I'm very happy with that outcome. So we'll just get it going again. And as you see, it runs quite well, except when it gets to that point there where it kind of slows down, and I'm not really sure why that is, but it's that section of track in there. I don't know if I've cleaned it a number of times. I'm not really quite sure what's actually going on there, but I'll continue to work on that. Oh, Clive, I'm very well, thank you. I was in here in the train room yesterday trying to get things set up and ready to go for today. I made a big effort to do this because I know I've been missing in action for the last while. And, as I may have told you, I've done some travelling. And then I worked on a couple of small projects for the layout, which you may have seen or got notice of. But I decided to make the effort and get in here and get a couple of things out running in the layout that hasn't been seen for a while. So, the Flying Scotsman for sure, and then the old Hymek along with the car-a-belle Triang car carriers, which is makes a nice little addition. the Hymek still falters over the odd point, and I just have to keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't get stuck somewhere. And I'll just show you, see, I've got that bolt and washer and the nice steel wheels, and inside there, let's see if I can take this off. I actually need 3 hands to do this, but under there there's a, you can just see there's a nut in there, and it was glued in. Once I got it set up, a little bit of crazy glue to keep it in position. I'll actually move these out of the way so you get a bit of view. So I've been going around trying to fix the track. It wasn't all tied down and still isn't, but that will come later when I decide that, you know, yeah, this is the way I'm going to keep the layout. So until that time, it just takes a little bit of effort to make sure that I've got everything clean. And talking about clean, once again I'll mention my Mr. Clean trackpad. I've just got the noise you're hearing in the background is it's one of the Gresley coaches came off the track, and I'm not really sure why that happened. As I said, I had replaced all the plastic wheels with steel ones on there. Now, I thought I'd bring this to your attention. The Model Maker's Handbook by Albert Jackson and David Day. I picked this up a couple of years back. You know, and it covers all kinds of things like boats, aircraft, military, and trains, and how to build stuff and make stuff. And you know, there's about track laying and trees. Look at that, lots of information on trees. Yeah, a great book, The Model Maker's Handbook by Albert Jackson and David Day. You should have a look for that, because it's certainly be worthwhile having in your collection of books. And there's a bit of a story behind it. I used to follow Adam Savage, and not that I don't follow him anymore, but I religiously would look for him every morning on YouTube. And in fact, I got to say hi to him one time at Comic-Con down in San Diego, because I was there 3 times, and sort of ran into him when he was on his way into the convention centre, and he was, "Double O Bill, oh, you got that book, excellent book, Bill," right? Excellent. Anyway, Adam Savage has this book in his collection, and you know, he referred to it on many occasions, and he showed it on his YouTube channel, and I thought, I've got to get that, so I searched for it and was lucky enough to find it. Anyway, so I was in San Diego for Comic Con, and I came out the one hotel, and I was walking towards the convention centre, and I saw this guy, fairly tall, with an astronaut's outfit on, and I thought, oh, that's a cracking outfit. So it was from the movie Prometheus, I think it was, where they had the big glass dome helmet. Anyway, I went over, I said, excuse me sir, do I have a photograph? And you know, he stopped and posed, and yeah, thank you. And I touched his arm and tapped it a couple of times. And I said, that's terrific. You know, I could do that. Oh, stop punching me, he said. I was like, what? It's a problem. Stop punching me. And so I was a little bit taken aback by that. And he lifted his visor a little bit. I said, I'm Savage. And his helpers were saying, oh, shh, don't say that too loud. It's supposed to be a secret. Anyway, I didn't get a prize for identifying them. Usually they do that if you see them first. Anyway, so I was a little bit disillusioned by that encounter. And I went to see him here. Well, he was in Hamilton, which is 2 hours away on the road to Niagara Falls. I saw his show there. It was really very good. And you know, I've got the T-shirts. I was sort of fanboy in that respect. And then they changed the model, the business model. By that I mean, I used to have a subscription, an annual subscription. But then they were on there one day saying, you know, we need to change up the business model. Adam isn't getting enough of a cut from the subscriptions, etc., etc. Right? So we're going to change all of that. And what they also did was, they said, well, if you want to ask Adam a question, you have to become a member. So you have to pay a fee in order to pose a question. At that point I went, you're done, because I just wasn't into that. I thought that was taking advantage. So there's, from the dollar store, $2.75 for 10 sheets of 9x11 assorted grit. So that was a good buy. So this here was my first attempt on my cricket machine. It didn't come out too well, but as I say, that was the first attempt. And then I 3D printed that sign. And what I want to do now is I want to get the Glasgow Underground sign and put it onto the Kingsway Models subway building. Put it on there. So you'd have a little bit of difficulty finding a sign that is straight on that I can copy and then do something with. But I also believe that the font is Johnson's. I think that's the name. And I should be able to select that and then cut it out on my Cricut machine and then put it up there. And also I'm going to rename this Tivoli. The Tivoli in Partick was a great cinema, which, like all the others, turned into a bingo hall. And I guess that's what happens with it. Yeah, well, it's a tremendous book. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to go to the local library because I was always interested in making things, and that's the type of book that I would try and look for. The problem was I didn't have any money to buy the materials. So I'm going to change things up here in a minute. That would make this work. Just give me a second here. And we'll see if I can. What I'm going to have to do is take this one off for the moment. Easier. We're changing tracks without having points would be a problem. Anyways, I said I had this all running earlier. And I should make a mental note of what I'm doing. An error, so you should, you need 3 sets of eyes. Okay, it's coming along. Now the 125 is one of the best running locals. Actually, oh, well, see, that's not a good advertisement for Model Railways, but we'll get that fixed in a second here. As Barry Davis would say, I doubt if he's listening, but as Barry Davis would say, you know, it's about model railways, and you want to take the good with the bad. And sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you have a derailment. And sometimes, you know, you crash into something. The good, the bad, and the ugly, and that's what Barry says it's all about. Having said that, Barry is meticulous in his track layout and how it's controlled, and I really enjoy watching his videos. Get a lot of enjoyment and information from it. So, you know, he does the odd one of his best 10 locomotives, his best wagons, his best coaches. And I must say, luckily, I have some of the locals, wagons, coaches that he has. But one he doesn't have is that set there of the West Highland Railway. Now, if I remember correctly, these were running in the 60s, 70s, I think, and then they were taken out of service, which is a pity because like beautiful looking coaches. Now there's another, I showed you this one before. That's the original Triang Hornby 100 foot or 100 ton bulk tanker. And you know, I've got the ladders for it in the box, in the original box. I'm not really sure if it's suited for a layout of this style and size, but there you go. I'm trying to figure something out for this area in here. Got the beginnings of a bridge up here and a tunnel. Okay, so I get another little derailment. See, just that little bit is enough to set it off. Anyway, yeah, I'm thinking I've got a tunnel going through there to an industrial area back to another part of town. We'll see how that goes. I'm slowly getting around to zeroing in on certain aspects of the layout and trying to get things done. There's some of my 3D printed oil tanks. Um, yeah, Bill, I've still got bits and pieces here that I have to work on. Get them running again. Odds and ends. So what's happening with everybody out there? You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I don't overstay my welcome, and that I'm offline to make sure that I don't have a lap over with Jenny and Zoe, because I get a laugh watching, listening to their show, and just common courtesy, not to steal the thunder. Not that I would be, but you know, it's really interesting. Back to Mark Hemel Down, and I can't remember, Mark, I think you got something like 700 followers, subscribers, and that's really terrific, because I've been on YouTube in various forms, doing various things, going back 9-10 years. It takes time, your complete setup. Yeah, so, you know, I can remember a couple of years ago, whatever it was, finding you online, and at the other house, and you know, you had a couple of locals and a couple of coaches running around, which was great. And now here we are building a brand new, larger layout, and we're sharing the experience with everybody. And you're being rewarded, Mark, because you know you're putting the effort in, and it's quality stuff, and people like that, so they will follow you, and word will get around. In my case, I was afforded this space, let's say, because there's a fairly large finished basement here. And at the time, my wife said, oh well, I want an area here where the kids can play, or have their friends over, or for that. I need an area, I do want an area for a TV, and then with another bedroom next to this. So I ended up with this approximately 9 by 10 feet, and you know, I've never built a model railway before. Spoke with a few people, got some ideas, and then I think the first video I made of the railway was the Coronation Scot going around on a single track here. I'm not sure. Okay, we're back again. Yeah, sorry about that. All of a sudden, I ran out of power. I think the laptop overheated a little bit. So I'm down to the one camera at the moment until things charge up. And that's the problem with um, that's the problem with having Apple products. I had to purchase another component. I'll just show you here. I had to, whoops, I had to purchase this. It's like a jack so that I could add in additional components. But what I've noticed is if you're running low on power and you plug in into this unit, you don't get the same transmission of power into the laptop. So I need to get something larger that will enable me to put multiple components in here. If I try and add this in, I'm not sure what's going to happen. But we'll give it a go and see what happens. I'm going to leave the mic off for a second, and then hopefully I can get the power back in, and we might get something working. Yeah, I guess, it's always a case of, oh, bye, Clive, thanks for dropping by. Technology, you always got to be aware of what's happening. Because I have a webcam, and then I had a couple of iPhones running. So you've got to keep your eye on them because they all drain out at different times. And I just noticed there are 3 people left online, and that's the interesting thing is I wasn't quite sure what time to do this, and I thought, well, if I do it after Jenny Kirk, that might be too late. And probably the best time is, you know, that if I jump on at 1 o'clock, then that's 6 o'clock UK time. And I thought that would have been okay. But some of you who do live broadcasts end up with quite a number of viewers, and I'm not really sure why that is. Is it fame and fortune, or is it timing in terms of when the audience is best available? Anyway, it's all good fun, jolly good company, as I say. So this camera hasn't come back online yet. That one there. Yeah, I'm not sure why that occurs. It's one of these things. You know, spend time trying to make sure that the trains are running. And okay, bye, Mark. I'll catch you. Well, Mark's not here. Bye. Yeah, you know, spend time trying to make sure the trains are running okay, and then find out that my technology is letting me down. Oh no, the trains are running great, and I spent a couple of hours here yesterday just running them so that I could be sure there'd be no problems. And touch wood, you know, that's the way it's worked out. Really glad about that. Yeah, see, it's yeah, it's best to leave things running when you've got them running. Just leave them, and then the cameras, you know, if they're not working, they stop working. Don't interfere with them, because you could end up dropping off completely. So look, guys, it's I'm 50 minutes in, and it's probably a good time to say thanks very much for dropping by. I'm glad you did, and it was a fairly reasonable running session with a few trains that had been on here for some time, and a good chat. So look forward to doing this again. So everybody have a great evening, and we'll catch you all next time here at Partickhill Station. And remember, for those who haven't, the big thumbs up, follow, and subscribe if you could, if you haven't already done so. Okay, bye for now.